Kingdom people, they can't handle that you don't acknowledge their existence. They having a hard time with the fact that you act like they don't even exist. The reason being, kingdom people, is because after somebody then showed you who they are enough times, and it don't take you that many times, you just act like they don't exist. It's not that you're not aware of them. You don't know what they're trying to do, what their intentions are, the games they play, the traps they set, how they feel about you, really how they feel about themselves, but how they feel about you because of how they feel about themselves or don't feel about themselves. Listen, you just shut down on them. While you may feel for them, while you may have prayed for them, you really don't have any interest in them. So much so that you don't acknowledge their existence. And they can't handle that. And here's the thing, kingdom people. These people have done so many things to try to be a problem to you. So many things. Even to the point of turning to the dark arts to really try to cause you some harm and some serious issues in and for your life. Some have even tried to unalive you, have you unalived, whatever the case may be. And what has happened, kingdom people? None of it has worked, as I always say. Furthermore, as I always say, these people have been moving like this for a long time. And they never had any consequences. They never had anything like this to occur. And you have every reason to not have anything, to not want to have anything to do with them, or to not have anything to do with them. And they know this too. Yet, they are having an issue with the fact that you don't want to have anything to do with them. Furthermore, you don't even acknowledge their existence. They can't handle that. So, kingdom people, for me, when I come into, when I'm in passing with these people, so to speak, I don't acknowledge them. It's nothing to acknowledge. They can be there, but I'm not paying them no attention. And it's obvious to them that I'm not paying them any attention. And here's the thing. They be paying me some attention. They're looking at me. You know, I would even go so far as say trying to make eye contact. I don't do that. They're there. I can see their shadow. I can see that they're there. But I'm not trying to look at them and I don't care to. I don't acknowledge their existence. I know enough to know that you are full of darkness and you mean me no good. And not just that, kingdom people, all the dark stuff that you've done towards me. Even those things that you don't even know, they don't know that I know about. Possibly. Now, the things that they doing that's obvious, don't pay no attention. I ignore it. I'm aware of it, but I don't respond to it, engage it, nothing. That even is a thing where they feel like their existence isn't being acknowledged. And so, kingdom people have the nerve to do all manner of stuff towards you, like serious, harmful, even dangerous things towards you, but because you're well protected, because you are discerning, you're even strong, you're wise, they feel like you should just look past it and still acknowledge their presence, even have dealings with them. Why, kingdom people? Because they want you to. See, these are the kind of people that haven't grown up. They are the kind of people that may have always had their way, even their dark way. But the buck stops with you. And so they're having a hard time handling the fact that the one that they could not defeat, the one that in their mind they feel like it outsmarted them, doesn't want to have anything to do with them. That's tough for them. I have a friend who I talked to, I went to high school with her and we hung out in our young adult years and, kind of kept in touch over the years. There were big stretches between time where we weren't in touch. But, over the last, I'll say a good 10 years or something like that, maybe 8, more like 8, we've been more in touch. And as time goes, we've been more and more in touch over the last few years. And we're really in touch now. And I know her from my hometown. So she's in another state. And, she gave her life to Christ. She's, she's new to walking with Christ. I want to say about a good year or so, probably going on to 2 years, something like that. Situations and circumstances just kind of moved in her in that way. And I get that because I experienced that years ago. And her daughter has recently given her life to Christ as well. And her daughter is like in her early 30s. And so, as of recently, not long ago, I would say maybe about a month ago or so, something like that, my friend sent me a text asking me to pray for her daughter about what I be talking about. And so I'm like, I knew what she was talking about, what I be talking about, because she was watching my videos at one point, and she do still as she can now, but she was talking about the kind of things that I be talking about, spiritual warfare, and the different kind of things that we experience, and even things that I've talked with her about personally, just between the two of us. And I called her because I wanted to know what I was praying for. I wanted to know what was going on because I didn't, and I just felt led to do that. And so when I called her, she gave her daughter the phone. And we talking, she explaining to me some tripped out stuff she had been experiencing. And it's totally demonic. It's deeper than spiritual warfare. She called it, when I say that spiritual warfare, she said this more than spiritual warfare. It be cracking me up. It's actually psychological warfare too, but it's still under the umbrella of spiritual warfare. And it's really deep, what she's been experiencing. And part of what she had been experiencing is not being able to read her Bible. When she would read it, what she know the Bible was like, it just wasn't what the Bible should be saying. And she just kind of was like, this is crazy. And I didn't have any, she was saying she didn't have anybody else to talk to about it. I guess she was trying to talk to her mom about it, but she like, I don't, let me let Trish know that. Because she like, I don't know what to do with this, my friend. So, and it is crazy. Some things do be crazy. And there's some other things that she had been experiencing. But I mentioned that part to make the point to say, we were talking and, in another conversation, because I had been talking to her regularly because she just needed someone to talk to. And she got to a place where she was like, can you read the Bible to me? And so I read it. We read. I said, well, what do you want to read? We read. And then she was saying, well, when you have time again, can you, read the Bible to me again? And so we, worked out another time. And when that time came, she had called me before I got her. She called me. Let me just put it like that. Before she called me, actually, she texted me, but I hadn't seen it until actually, I think I did end up calling her. I saw her text in, and it said, "Are we still having Bible study?" So she was calling it Bible study. So I said yes, and I called her because I was getting ready to call her when I seen her text. So anyway, it's been a thing now where we all get together, including her mom and her daughter, and they stay right next to each other, like next door to each other. So she's always at her mom's house. So we been having this, what she calls a Bible study, because she'll say we have a Bible study when we have a Bible study. And so we get together and we read the Bible. And I just realized, because when God was moving me to just help her and talk to her and read the Bible to her, I knew God was doing something. And then she started calling it Bible study. So she didn't put together a Bible study. And it's funny because she put me like as the leader. Like, of course it's God's doing, but using her. Because I even asked last time we got together, I said, well, who's going to read? And she was like, you. But what I'm getting to is how we move around people and we don't acknowledge their existence because they don't deserve us. Because they don't deserve to be acknowledged. Because when we acknowledge them, we're acknowledging their demons. And not only that, kingdom people, we're making it okay for them to continue in their ways. So let me say this before I go any further. We were talking at the last time we had Bible study, and I mentioned something we were talking about that made me mention an experience. And she said, well, Trish, you can be kind, you could be kind to them. And I said, I am kind. I was like, I am kind. And she was like, because we supposed to love them and I hate them. I said, I do love them. I don't hate them. But I was explaining to her that these kind of people, you can't feed their demons. So sometimes you have to not acknowledge them. You can't show them kindness because they don't deserve your kindness. And I was sharing with her how the way God gave it to me is like, you don't give what's holy to the dogs and don't cast your pearl upon the swine. Anything you utter for yourself is feeding them. Mind you, they want your attention anyway. Attention for what? To feed, I'm going to say their demons, but their insecurities, their ego. What these people really need to do is learn. They need to stop. They need to realize everybody not going for that. Just because they want what they want don't mean you need to give them what they want. You can be kind to them by just not being unkind. You don't have to act a fool with them. I don't act a fool. But my kindness isn't just being cool. Not going there with them. Which is what they be wanting at first. Want you to act a fool with them. I'm being kind by not acting a fool with them. And so I'm saying all that to say, kingdom people, what happens is that you're not acknowledging their existence. They're having a hard time handling it. They can't handle it. Because think about it this way. All along, what they wanted was for you to acknowledge their existence. But they wanted you to acknowledge their existence in a negative manner because that's all they know. But you, on the other hand, you know different. You know better. So you responded to whatever the attacks were, whatever was being thrown at you, whatever they were doing to try to pull you in. You responded with what you know. And even if you're in a place where God is teaching you and you're learning how to respond differently, you're doing it. Someone said the other day in the comments how they was getting ready to respond in a similar way that they usually do, and God stopped them and told them, Even when in those kind of instances, when you stop, when God say, that's you not responding in the way that they want you to. It's a process. We have to be deprogrammed from the ways that we know to be reprogrammed to the ways of God, being transformed by the renewing of our minds. And so they understand and they know why you don't want to have nothing to do with them. They get that. They know what they have done. But it's on a whole nother level troubling to them and doing something to them. I'm hearing it's killing their ego. A lot of these people are having an ego death. But really what's happening too is that you're starving out their demons. That's what I heard this morning. You're starving out those demons. And they can't handle you not acknowledging their existence. What's ultimately happening, and this is aside from, I almost want to say aside from them, the demons are struggling. The demons in them are struggling because they're not getting their fuel. They're not getting fed, and they want that fuel from you. They can get it everywhere else, but it's not the same when it's not coming from you. You're not giving it to them, so you're starving them out. Now, the person, you're starving out their, I'm going to say insecurities, their ego. You're not feeding it. You're not giving it what it's accustomed to. You're not giving it what it wants so that it can stay the same. See, like I already said, some people have to learn. When you're not giving people what they want and what they need, what they're accustomed to, they're put in a position to change. Or even if they don't change, they're put in a position to see their ways, which means they still could change. But it makes them have to see things for what it is. On top of that, in them going through all of this, they realize that you're something more than what they thought you were. And they realize this from the experience they've had with you. Now, what's happening here is they don't know what to do with all this they got going on, which is part of why they want you to acknowledge their existence. They want to kind of deal with you now because they need some answers. They need some they don't know what to do. They know you know what to do. You doing it. You done already handled them. You basically gave them that you know what, handed them they you know what, right back to them. Now they don't know what to do. But they know you know what you're doing. You know how to live life. Doesn't mean you know everything, of course. But clearly by the way you handle them, you know something they don't know. And they want to know. Even if in the background of all that, there's still some goofy stuff going on. They want that interaction with you. It makes them really curious about you now. I just heard that now that you have slaughtered those demons. That's what I just heard. And see, when those demons get slaughtered, it leaves them in a state of, they don't know what to do. Now, while we know the answer is to go to Christ, go to God, let him help you. What's happening here is they see you as that. They realize you are a person of God, that is. So they want to go through you. Some of these people don't know how to, but like I always say, if you really want something bad, you're going to do what you need to do. If you're in a position where you know you need help, you know you need whatever the case may be, you know. And I'm going to say they know now because they know you're a person of God. And that's how you're able to operate the way you do. So what you're really doing is pointing them and directing them to God, even though you're not acknowledging their existence. But they don't want to do it that way. They want to do it by interacting with you. But the problem is you don't even acknowledge their existence. They can't handle the fact that you don't acknowledge their existence. And listen, the other part of that is because they feel like they fumbled you. They fumbled a good one. But like I like to say, they would have did that anyway because they was a bad one. Bad ones always fumble the good ones. And then they only regret it because they fumbled. They fumbled. And they wouldn't do anything no different. Is that if they got you, a good one, if they haven't changed, they will fumble it all over again because it's an inner work that has to be done in them. So kingdom people, they're left to deal with what's going on in them. You've done your part. You're just being you. You're not even doing nothing to these people really. But who you are does a whole lot. Let me share this with you. It was on my spirit because I have this thing where I notice God don't always move me to like, most times he not moving me to go to people and spread the gospel of Christ and this, and another and talk. And so it was like really on my spirit how God uses me to do that by not talking about it. And I'm talking about in my everyday life, what I'm doing outside of, being, doing what I do on the channel here and, things of that sort. And so I had to look up some things, do a little research. And I knew this, but I just wanted to get some clarity on it. It was just saying how you guide people when God is not using you to speak. You draw people to Christ. You lead them to Christ by the way you live your life. They see the way you live your life. And then God gave me how the scriptures say that let your light so shine that they will see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. And so when people see what it is with you and they know you walk with God and God is with you, it will draw people to God. And so you just being who you are, and you're already being that example just by being who you are. If you're not acknowledging their presence, you've still done your part to draw them to Christ, because now they know what it is with you. They have answers, they have questions. They do, because you have intrigued, you have piqued their interest on another level about how this thing go, because all they know is darkness. Now they want to know about how this light stuff go. And some of them don't have a clue, nothing about none of this. Nothing at all. All they know is darkness, like literally. But the issue is that they can't have access to you in that way. But they've had access to you in the way that they have, which God used you to lead them to Christ. They can kind of get that at this point, that it's nothing. And, but they do understand too that what all this was about was to stop them in their tracks from their evil and wicked ways and to turn towards God. They get that. Whether they do it or not, that's another thing. What I know is God is saying they can't handle this. They having a hard time with this, handling the fact that you won't even acknowledge their existence. And it's all because of their own doing, and they know it. They know, they get it. But like I said before, a lot of these people are like babies. They throw temper tantrums. They want what they want. They pout because they want what they want. They mess up some stuff and then go have a pity party and act like they a victim when they mess things up for themselves. But it's all for them to learn. It's all for them to change their ways. It's all for them to let God be God in their life, to give their lives to Him. That's what it's all for. Even though that's all a good thing. And prayerfully, they will turn to God and give their lives to Christ. Receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and personal Savior. And but God will bring someone behind you to present that to them more specifically. But it can't be you at this point. You did your part. You planted the seed. God will bring someone else to water it, because they can't have access to you. You can't deal with them like that. So much so that you don't even acknowledge their existence. And they can't handle The fact that you don't acknowledge their existence.